Joining me in this episode is my medical director, Dr. Mildred Santarufo. She is known best by her patients as Dr. Millie. We are going to dive deep into a weight loss topic that is widely undiagnosed, and so many women unknowingly struggle with it, and that is PCOS. Are you struggling with weight loss despite trying everything? You're not alone. Welcome to the Real Results for Life podcast, where we dive deep into the secrets of sustainable weight loss. I'm your host, Jamie Young, founder of Real Results Medical Weight Loss, located in Kennesaw, Georgia. With over 10 years in the medical weight loss industry, I've successfully guided hundreds of clients to their dream weights. In this podcast, we will explore the keys to sustainable weight loss and make healthy choices an important part of your lifestyle. At Real Results, we offer comprehensive solutions from online programs and medical appetite suppressants to personalized one-on-one coaching. Join me on this transformative journey to discover and embrace the best version of yourself, ensuring you look and feel great both from the inside out. Together, let's achieve lasting results, starting today and continuing for life. Before we get started, please remember that the information we share here is for educational purposes and from personal experience. Each individual's health, fitness, and nutrition needs are unique. Therefore, please consult a healthcare provider before making any changes to your diet or exercise routine. Let's learn together responsibly and make informed decisions about our health. Enjoy the show. PCOS stands for Polycystic Ovary Syndrome. Dr. Millie has been the medical director for Real Results since 2018, and together we have helped over 1,000 people and counting reach their real weight loss results. In this episode, you are going to get all of your PCOS questions answered, and at the end of our conversation, Dr. Millie is going to share red flags that could be an indication that you are struggling with PCOS and that it's time to connect with your primary care physician or find a weight loss program like ours at Real Results who can help reverse PCOS and the side effects that come with it, which are weight gain and the inability to lose weight. As a bonus in today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you one of my favorite weight loss strategies and mindset shifts in the Jamie's Gyms section of the show. I can't wait for you to hear from Dr. Millie on this topic. So let's dive into the episode. Thank you so much for being here. So we have, I want to start off by talking about one of our patients who has an amazing story. She fought with infertility and rounds of IVF and could not get pregnant. And so she decided that she was going to come to Real Results and lose some weight. She just thought, if I can just lose some weight and get my body in the best shape it can be, she could potentially, have a kiddo. And so she came in and you found that she actually had PCOS, and that's one of the big reasons. And along with that, insulin resistance. And, fast forward, she lost 60 pounds. She was able to get pregnant, and she brought the baby in a couple months ago. It was so cute. So that's a real result, when we're really talking about it. And so that is it's such an amazing story because it is at Real Results. It's not just about weight loss. I mean, this whole family changed, which is just gives me goosebumps thinking about it. But I wanted to open with that story because PCOS gets widely missed by clinicians, and a lot of patients come in and have never been told that they have PCOS. So why is that? And can you dive into PCOS for us?
Yes, I love PCOS. So PCOS stands for Polycystic Ovary Syndrome. That's the current term for it. It was originally discovered by a couple of physicians, Stein and Leventhal, and so it was originally Stein-Leventhal syndrome. They came up with the syndrome or diagnosed it or defined it in 1935. Currently, the various endocrinologists and gynecologists have talked about maybe changing the term from polycystic ovarian syndrome to some other names, one of them being hyperandrogenetic ovarian syndrome or estrogenic ovarian dysfunction, or chronic anovulatory syndrome, because the polycystic aspect of it is kind of a misnomer now. It is present in some folks, but not everybody's going to actually have multiple cysts on their ovaries. The bigger issue is really the high amount of androgen or testosterone, male hormone, and the insulin resistance and the effect that has on ovulation, which it stops ovulation, which is why these women have fertility issues and why their cycles are irregular. So there are also issues with the diagnostic criteria. The current criteria that's most frequently used is called the Rotterdam criteria, and you have to have 2 out of 3 of them, which is ovulation, high androgens, and having multiple cysts on your ovaries on ultrasound. So oftentimes you're not going to be aware that they have these things unless you are specifically testing for them and checking for it and doing the labs for it. The labs themselves, there's no definitive really numbers to say, okay, if you reach this point, that's where you're considered. So it's sort of stepping back and looking at the whole picture and putting the pieces together. So if a woman's testosterone levels are on the higher end, even if just the higher end of normal, they don't need to be high, but they're just higher than average, in combination with when you check their FSH and LH, if their LH is higher than their FSH, well, that's going to prevent them from ovulating. And so that combination of factors is really the way that I diagnose it, is those 2 key things on labs.
Yes, and it's so interesting because it's treatable. Is the thing it's a hidden issue that people don't realize that they have, which is fixable. So if the patient has PCOS and they haven't been properly diagnosed, why are they gaining weight or not losing weight? Can you speak into that a little bit?
So the fundamental pathophysiology that causes the elevated testosterone levels and the inability to ovulate properly is insulin resistance. So the first and foremost, the etiology of PCOS, the majority of cases, there's actually a familial or a genetic predisposition. And so they found that if you've got this genetic predisposition and then you're exposed to certain environmental factors, it will trigger the syndrome. And it's usually when they start to maybe eat the wrong foods, or if they're under a lot of stress and their cortisol levels go up, or they're trying to get pregnant, all of a sudden that's when these things will kind of start to manifest themselves. And but there are a variety of things that can start to make your insulin levels go up. And once that occurs, it throws everything off from that point. And so that's the other thing that we check specifically is the insulin level. And if we see that it's elevated, that's another indicator, along with the female hormones, that's the diagnosis. And what most people don't realize is that it's actually the most common hormonal disorder in women worldwide. And the statistics are somewhere between 5% and 15%. And the reason they don't really know is because it's so underdiagnosed, and it's more often a diagnosis of exclusion. So at first you rule out thyroid problems or Cushing's disease or congenital adrenal hyperplasia or some other issue before you say, okay, well, they don't have any of those things, so this is what it is. This is what we're left with.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. And we find it when we do labs, right? We find the PCOS because we're looking for it, right? If they're doing everything that they know how to do, eat healthy and exercise, right? And you're doing all that and not getting anywhere, then obviously they've got something else going on behind the scenes. So that's why we're here. That's why we do what we do. And so other than blood work, are there any other symptoms that would indicate that someone should get tested for?
Yes. So the first thing is irregular cycles. Now, a lot of women have irregular cycles. And again, back in the day, it was if they had less frequent cycles, if they weren't having a cycle. But now we know that even if you're having heavy cycles or more frequent cycles, that still can be anovulatory. So any irregularity of the cycle that has been going on and has not responded to other treatments, birth control pills, what have you. Now, in addition to that, because of the high testosterone levels, the high androgen levels, they tend to have hirsutism, which means excessive hair growth on the face, the body. They may have hair loss, particularly like in a male pattern baldness, hair loss. they'll have more, their skin will be oilier, so they'll have more acne. And then because of the insulin resistance, there's the weight gain. Also, there's the infertility issues, which typically start to manifest at some point as well. So there's several different things that in combination can be indicative of it.
Right. So the people start noticing those types of symptoms, then they come in to a place like Real Results, and then we do labs and we find it. So what treatment options are there for PCOS for women?
So there are actually there's a lot of different ways that you can approach it. Now, most gynecologists and reproductive individuals will address it with hormones. If someone doesn't want to be pregnant, they'll utilize birth control pills or patches or injections, estrogen with progesterone or progesterone alone. Or if they're having more significant fertility issues, they may use Clomid or letrozole or some of these others that are further up the line on your hypothalamus pituitary axis and adrenal axis. But from an endocrine perspective, from a hormonal perspective, since the reason for the female hormones and the androgen being off is because of the insulin, I find that it works better to just attack and address the insulin resistance, because that's the fundamental problem. So for many years, the only thing we had was metformin, which reverses insulin resistance. And now we have the GLP-1 agonists, which do the same thing. And they're much more potent. But anything that reverses insulin resistance will help get those other hormones lined back up. It'll cause the testosterone levels to drop. It'll cause the FSH to become higher than the LH, and it'll start getting you to ovulate normally so that then you can get pregnant.
Right. Well, and then if your goal is to lose weight, your metabolism goes up, you feel you have more energy. And then also if PCOS and insulin resistance are linked, your body's not processing carbohydrates correctly. And so that needs to be fixed. So we've got patients who feel like, you know what, this might be me. I've struggled with my cycles. They've not been normal, and I've been gaining weight, but I've not changed anything else in my diet or in my lifestyle. I mean, I know the answer to this, but I would love to hear this from you. Once the PCOS is addressed, what kind of benefits should patients expect?
Well, I mean, their cycles will stabilize, their metabolism will start to function more normally, so they'll start to lose weight, which, if they're trying to get pregnant, they'll find that they can now get pregnant more easily. They'll find that their hair growth may come back. They may find that they start having less hair on their face and other parts of their body. It just completely flips everything back the way it should be, and they start processing their hormones where they should be processing them. Everything goes into normal range, basically.
I love that. I mean, I love, we're all about feeling our best all the way around in life, not just the number on the scale. So yes, that's amazing. And I've watched it with patients. They come in, they don't know they have PCOS, and we address it. We get them rolling, and they just, gosh, I mean, how quickly clinically are we seeing, PCOS start to reverse? I mean, I feel like patients in a month are just a different person.
I don't think that probably on the labs and with the hormone levels, we would necessarily see it really in a month. It takes probably longer than that. But certainly some of those other effects, they start to feel more quickly, because certainly once the androgen levels start to drop, their skin starts getting better, their hair starts getting better. They certainly feel like they look better, and that always helps motivate you from there. And as a result of your metabolism starting to pick up, you can start losing the weight, and then there's that aspect of it. And as the weight comes down, the insulin goes down, and then that allows you to start to have your cycles normally. And so I would say it's probably more to 3 to 6 months that it would take us to really see the change in the labs, depending on how quickly they respond to the medication. But, certainly within the 3 to 6 months is when we start to see a difference, for sure.
Yes. Well, and it's amazing what that first 5 pounds will do to your overall being, right? You have more just like you said, you're more energy, more motivated. Like, oh my gosh,
Hmm.
changes are happening in my body, and this is happening, and they're just more motivated overall.
Hmm.
So 3 to 6 months to really, see a big difference. And Dr. Millie, is there anything else that you would add to someone who might be struggling with PCOS behind the scenes? Is there anything over the counter or any sort of diet they can do? Or is it really you just have to treat the hormone imbalance?
So there are some things that you could start off with initially. And because it's all about the insulin resistance, then certainly the biggest thing with diet is to avoid the carbs. You've got to really try to keep your overall carbohydrate intake, under 100 grams a day, as close to 50 grams as possible. You don't have to do keto, but if you can keep your total amount of carbs a day somewhere between 50 and 100 grams, that would be ideal. And then there is a supplement that's called berberine, which does actually treat insulin resistance. And so that is an over-the-counter product that you can start off with that could be helpful, at least initially. Of course, it's over-the-counter, so it doesn't come to the same concentrations or the same strength as the prescription products, but it works through the same process.
Right. No, those are great. Those are great options for people. So the biggest takeaway that I would recommend for people based on this conversation is it doesn't hurt to check and see if you're really struggling with this, and also just to know how underdiagnosed it is and how prevalent it can be. So thank you so much for joining me in this conversation, and hopefully this will help a lot of people.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I'm going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about a free resource that I have online. Go to realresultsforlife.com and you can download a free recipe collection. These recipes are super simple, really tasty, and it'll help you reach your real results. It is time for one of my favorite sections of the show, and it's called Jamie's Gems. And in this section, I am going to give you a tip or a trick or a recipe or something that you can go ahead and implement in your life today. So let's face it, life can be busy. Life can be overwhelming. There are seasons that you feel like you are completely trying to just keep your head above water. So in those seasons, how are we supposed to lose weight or maintain our goal weight when life feels this way? Most of the time when we go through those stressful seasons, we gain weight. So what is a strategy that you can use when you're in those seasons? So that's where today's gym comes into play. And I call this mantra, win when you can win. So what that means is that whenever you get a chance to make a good and healthy decision for yourself, just do it. Take the W. You're not going to be able to win all of the time, but if you can win when you can, that is going to be what's going to move the needle during those crazy seasons. So I'm going to give you a few examples so you can start using that mantra if you are in that season right now. So, first example, let's say you're running around and you did not have time to make yourself eggs at home and you did not have a chance to prep anything, and your option is fast food, right? Like that's all you got. All of us, including myself, get in that situation where fast food is what you have for breakfast. So instead of choosing a biscuit sandwich, choose like an egg McMuffin or something that's going to be lower in calories and a healthier decision. Another example, if you're running into the grocery store for a few quick things, grab a pre-made salad for your lunch the next day, or grab one of those tuna kits. It's quick and it's easier than fast food. And that's another thing I tell clients is if you are in a hurry and you need to just grab something really quick, don't forget about the grocery store. That really can be a good resource for you. And you can just run in and grab a pre-made salad, or like I said, one of those tuna kits, something that's going to be healthier than a burger or a drive-through. So another example, if you're at a conference, this happens a lot with my clients, the lunch is provided. You have zero input on what you can do. and what you can eat and what you can choose. So you could eat the meat in the sandwich if it's like a sandwich packed lunch, but maybe only eat half the bread. So cut your favorite part, the top or the bottom, and that way it's like double the meat, half the bread. Avoid the cookies in situations like that. They're probably not going to be great anyway. So making the best decision that you can in those pre-designed meal situations. I want you to understand this mantra because it really has helped a ton of my clients, and it helps me too. Another example, when you are at a restaurant, 9 out of 10, maybe even 19 out of 20 times, there is an option for protein and a salad or a veggie. Get creative with the menu. It's okay. Sometimes I'll look at the sides of the menu and see, okay, well, they've got some green beans, and maybe I'll look at the appetizer and maybe they'll have scallops or something. Or maybe chicken wings, even though they might be fried, they are normally low carb. So like that could be something. You could do a burger without the bun. You can do a side salad and add protein to that, or an entree size salad and add protein. So get creative with the menu. Look for those options because they're going to be there. And when you're at a restaurant that, a bottle of wine is brought to the table and dessert is expected and things like that, win at your meal. You can do it. If you are at an event with drinks, one of my favorite little tips is to do a vodka soda, or you could do a glass of sparkling water with a lime, just if you need something in your hand in those social situations. Now, and alternate too. So if you do a vodka soda and then the next one, do a sparkling water, and just, that way you still have something in your hand. You're still being social, but you're really cutting those calories. Another thing in the wine department, if it tastes sweet, it probably has more sugar than you really need. A great choice is a Prosecco. That's a default good choice from a sugar perspective. So hopefully those tips help in that type of environment. And then I've got 2 more little examples for you. If you have a 20-minute window for exercise, do it. Don't let yourself think, well, it's only going to be 20 minutes, so why bother? That when we can tell ourselves that all the time, like, oh, it's just 20 minutes. Why even do it? But get it in, even if it's 10 minutes, 20 minutes, get that exercise in. And my last example for you is if you're at the airport and you get through security with time, walk those terminals and get those steps in, and you're just finding time to make these good decisions. So you see how this strategy works? It really helps you maintain your weight and continue to reach your real results when you add all of these small decisions together in really busy seasons. I cannot wait to hear how this strategy and mantra, win when you can win, impacts your goals. Thank you for tuning in to the Real Results for Life podcast. Your dedication to self-improvement is truly inspiring. If you're serious about achieving your goals, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. By subscribing to this podcast, it will provide you with ongoing encouragement and support, filling your cup with valuable tips and motivation to help you succeed. At Real Results, we're excited to offer you several online weight loss solutions that cater specifically to your goals. One program I'm thrilled to highlight today is our semaglutide at-home program. It's specifically designed to kickstart your weight loss journey and support you every step along the way, right from the comfort of your own home. Our program begins with the semaglutide online launch package, which will give you immediate access to our comprehensive online coaching program. This includes training videos, dietary guides, hundreds of recipes, and more. The package covers the cost of your initial lab work and a virtual appointment with our medical director. Once approved for the medication, your semaglutide will be automatically billed, shipped, and delivered directly to your door. Achieving your health goals has never been more straightforward or convenient. Are you ready to transform your life like hundreds of my other clients? Click the link in the show notes or go to realresultsforlife.com to learn more and join our semaglutide at home program today. Thank you again for listening. Remember, with dedication and the right support, real results are within reach.